Imagine, it's a cold February morning. You're walking alone in the Fox Chase neighborhood of Philadelphia. The leaves are wet, and it's quiet. There's a jumble of sounds under every step, and suddenly you see a cardboard box. In fact, you could call it a box, but it seems to you that there's a secret hidden in this box. You get closer, and the closed lids are torn, and a little blanket is hanging from the edge of the box. It's as if you know what's inside, but you don't. The closer you get, the faster your heart beats. You push the box open, and there you see the body of a child. A small boy, about 4 or 5 years old. Naked, beaten, frozen from the cold. There are marks on his body, wounds on his face, as if he had suffered for a long time. It's hard to describe the shock of that moment. The world stopped for a moment in the silence. You think, who could do such a thing? Why? This child was found in February 1957 and has since become one of America's most mysterious murders. The police arrived at the scene immediately and carefully inspected the box. The child was in a cardboard box, covered with an old patched blanket. The box was marked bassinet, children's crib. That is, a cradle box intended for children. While examining the child's body, the police noticed several strange details. His nails were neatly trimmed, his hands were washed, but there were bruises on his head and body. This indicated that the child had been abused, but his killer had tried to clean him. The child's milk teeth had not yet erupted. That is, he was about 4 to 6 years old, but no dental records, hospital records, or orphanage records could be found to match. The news quickly spread throughout the city. Newspapers carried the child's picture on the front pages, posters were hung, telegrams were sent, but no one recognized him. The police appealed to the entire country. Whose child is this? Who knows him? The answer was no. Thus the boy became known by the press as Boy in the Box. The initial investigation lasted for months. The police searched for the area where the boy came from, his family, or who taught him, the forest surroundings, the path where the boy was found, the contents of the box. Every detail was examined, but no results were obtained. Who killed the boy, how and why was still a mystery. Attention to detail is important. The boy's body was not well fed, but it was brutally neglected. The blanket and other items inside the box, the remains of a crib box intended only for a child, were not enough to protect him. The police found other traces at the scene, child-sized footprints, women's-style towels, small objects, but none of them helped to identify the boy. A few months later, the police decided that the boy might belong to one of the nearby orphanages. The Good Shepherd home housed many children, some of whom had no known families. But the director of the home said that no child had ever disappeared from there and that no body matched the child. The incident turned the psychology of the town upside down. People were terrified. Everyone was asking, who could do this to this child? The child had become both a frightening and mysterious symbol of the town. The police were also looking for various suspects. One woman claimed that her mother had killed the child, who was born in 1953. But she could not find any evidence to support this confession, and some of the details she gave were contradictory. Other theories, that the child had been kidnapped and killed, or that she had been abandoned by strangers, were not proven. No suspect, no fingerprints, or no documents could explain the child's death. As technology improved, the police returned to investigating the case. In 1998, the body was exhumed and DNA samples were taken. But at that time, analytical capabilities were not enough. No results were obtained. Then, in 2019, modern genetic analyses were applied and the child's identity began to be determined. Starting from the first years, everything was even more mysterious. The police were investigating the suspects, feeling a trace on every clue, but there was no result. The city was slowly starting to get used to this mystery. People were saying, is this child a nobody? Does no one know him? But every night, on every corner, the people talking about this child increased. One day, a woman appeared. Her name was Martha. She said that the death of this child was connected with her family. Martha claimed that the mother had killed the child after giving birth. The woman described how she had put the child in a cradle, then hidden it from the other people in the house, took it to the forest and left it in a box. Her words caused horror both for the police and for the public. But Martha's confession was riddled with inconsistencies. The dates did not match, and some of the details could not be fully proven. The police nevertheless investigated every word. The household archives were checked, villagers were questioned, former workers were interrogated, but the result was the same. No material evidence was found. During these years, films, newspaper articles, and radio programs about the boy in the box began to appear in the city. Everyone was telling the story, but no one knew the truth. People were both afraid and curious. The child's neglect, murder, and finding him in a box full of secrets. All of these created frightening images in people's minds. Over time, technology had already developed. In 1998, the child's body was exhumed and DNA samples were taken. However, at that time, laboratories were not yet developed enough, and the results were not obtained. People were already beginning to think that this mystery would not be solved. But in 2019, modern genetic analysis methods were introduced. With new DNA tests, the child's parents were traced. The results were shocking for the police. The child's identity, after 65 years, was finally revealed. In December 2022, the Philadelphia police officially announced the child's name is Joseph Augustus Zarrelli. He was born in 1953 and was 4 years old when he died. His parents have already passed away, but their lives, the fate of the child, and this tragic event are now in everyone's attention. With the revelation of Joseph's identity, many questions remained unanswered. Why was the child killed? Who left him in the box? The killer is still unknown. But one thing is clear: this child is no longer anonymous. His name will remain in history. This tragedy has also become a psychological lesson for people. People are responsible for protecting their children, feeding them with love and caring. Every child is valuable and no child should be abandoned. Joseph's story has shown us that sometimes even the smallest and weakest beings need the attention of society. For many years now, people have been visiting Joseph's grave. They lay flowers on his head, pray for him, and do not forget. He remained a mystery for 65 years, but now he is remembered by his name. This child reminds us that some stories do not end with death. They live on in memory, teaching us lessons in how to treat people. The tragedy, the secret, and the final revelation of the child, all this, when combined, shows us the dark and bright sides of man. Joseph Augustus Zarrelli is now known for who he is and will never be forgotten. This story also shows the power of technology and human determination. A mystery that remained unsolved for 65 years has been solved with modern scientific methods. It is an example of how powerful humanity, compassion, and research are. The child in the box, Joseph Augustus Zarrelli, is no longer just a mystery. He is also a symbol of humanity, compassion, and technology. We must not forget his story. Every child is valuable and must be protected. This tragedy is an unforgettable lesson, and no child should be left behind. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Don't forget to subscribe.